All right, and now hopefully what will be the last part of my what would hopefully be three-part series of documents 1 through 50 of the MPD Moscow Police Department's document release. And here we go. All right, continuing on, John Lawrence on 11/15, 2022, a couple days after the murders. When I arrived at work, I had several voicemails on my desk phone. So here we go. I received a call from AM. I'm trying to think of these names on the fly. I'm just doing my raw analysis, so keep in mind that some of these things I'm thinking, oh my gosh, of course that's who it was. But anyways, A told me she was at the corner club with two of the victims, Madison and Kaylee. It says Katie, but it should be Kaylee. The night prior to the murders. The night prior to the murders, so that would probably be that evening before. She told me there was a college-aged male known by Madison. This is important, people. A college-aged male known by Madison. A told me the male was wearing a black and white flannel shirt with a black shirt underneath that had writing in white letters that said antisocial. A told me the college-aged male, who had been identified as CB, I don't know what that is, was acting creepy. So this person's CB, don't know who that is, was acting creepy. She said he was not engaging people in conversation and he was just staring at the girls in the group that she was with. Now, keep in mind, this is a creepy stalker-like person who gets kicked out for being obsessed with Maddie. It is interesting to me. One, you know for a fact, people, 100% you know for a fact that's not Brian Koberger. If it was Brian Koberger, we would have known it by now. The police would have had that video of Brian Koberger looking at the girls creepily from that night, and it would have been all over it. But this cannot be Brian Koberger. But what it does mean then is somebody was obsessed with Maddie, it looks like, and somehow that gets projected onto Brian Koberger. Brian Koberger was obsessed with Maddie, but this is a different individual. I'm almost certain of it. And somebody by the initials CB, and it's it's just interesting. Anyways, she said he was not engaging people in conversation and it was just staring at the girls in the group that she was with. A told me B, whoever that is, had been grabbing girls by the butt and being handsy. A said she confronted B and told him to stop touching girls inappropriately or she would have him kicked out of the bar. At one point, Madison introduced her, A, to B and told her she knew him. So Maddie knows this guy that's groping girls at the party or at the club. A said she let her guard down a little bit when it came to B, and was later told by Madison that she only knew B through class and a group project in which they had worked on together. A said a short time later, B was kicked out of the bar. So somebody that Maddie knows, and Maddie and this person knows Maddie. Maddie knows this person. They both know each other. They had a class together. He's being creepy. He's being hands-on. He's grabbing girls' butts, and it's so bad he gets kicked out of the bar. And where did that fucking shit go? Where is that in the news? Anyways, a short time later, I took a call from DJ. Now, is this Decour, Jack? So something, I don't know, maybe not. Jay told me he works at the blank. Jay said he was a regular customer by the name of GP who comes in almost every day. Jay said P makes everyone feel insecure because of the way he acts and the dark things that he says. Jay told me P lives in the area of the homicides. I looked up P, names and numbers, in Spillman, and it shows an address in Conestoga. Conestoga? Anyways, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get slaughtered for that one. P has had numerous involvements with MPD over the last 2 decades, some of which relate to possible mental health issues. So somebody disturbed is stalking Madison, it looks like, and staring at the girls and being creepy and hands-on with the girls. And again, somehow I feel like this story got projected onto Koberger, and it's not Koberger. It's not Koberger. And it's somebody that the Moscow Police Department has regular run-ins with, which is also not Koberger. So I've said it before, what happened at the corner club that night is the answer to what happened to the girls. So I keep saying it, and I'm still leaving it. Justin Dean. November 15th, 2022, at approximately 12:48 in the afternoon, I spoke, no, in the morning, that would be in the early morning, sorry, early morning, on November 15th. I spoke with the blank president, R.H., about the 1122 King Road residence. I asked H if she knew the people who lived at the house. H said yes. She said they were a close group of friends who primarily hung out with themselves. I asked H if she ever went to parties at the house. H said she did a couple of times, but the parties were small. She said the roommates were a pretty tight group who didn't throw big parties. I asked if she knew about any drug use or sales from the house. H said she thought Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin may have used cocaine, but nothing big, and no one sold drugs. Now pay attention, people. We keep hearing the innocence. This is, and again, doing drugs is not what I'm busting people's balls for. What I'm busting people's balls for is that all the numerous things that keep painting the victims in this case as pure, innocent, harmless little beings that had nothing but good things in their life. And whether they were doing drugs, no, they could not have been doing drugs. These are good kids. They don't do drugs. I think there were drugs in the house. I think the drug element needs to be looked at. I think there was fentanyl, laced cocaine that was being used in the house, and it was most likely by Ethan and Xana. That's what the police reports are telling us. Ethan and Xana reported, by multiple people said Ethan and Xana were into cocaine, and we know that there was cocaine supposedly, it looks like, found with a bluish color, which indicates that it's got the fentanyl laced in with the cocaine. So this seems to be Xana and Ethan's party drug of favor. Other girls may have also done that party drug of favor, but we're going to continue to say that's bullshit. The girls didn't do drugs. They're innocent little sheep. And so there you go. So that way you can just ignore the drug angle that is getting stronger and stronger as you go. I asked her if she knew whether there was larger quantities of drugs kept in the residence, and H said no. They don't know. H then told me she was at the Corner Club on November 13th, 2022, between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning. She said Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez were also at the Corner Club during that time. H said she heard a male was kicked out of the bar because he was acting creepy towards Madison Mogan. Again, this is the guy grabbing at people's ass, and Matta, you know him, and all these things. Again, who the F is this? And if you're going to maintain law enforcement, if you're going to maintain and mainstream media, if you're going to maintain Maddie was the target, why isn't this person? What happened to this person? Anyways, I asked H if she had any other details about the mail or incident, and H said no. Okay. Pounding through these documents. See if we can get this done in an hour. Roger Lanier. Okay, we're going to talk about Lanier now. All right. On November 14, 2024, a day after the murders, at approximately 10 o'clock in the morning, I responded back to the 1122 King Road residence to conduct a neighborhood canvass in the daylight. Chief Fry was with me. We started from the rear of the residence and covered the small hill area just behind 1122 King Road. Right behind the residence, there was a small black bag that had obviously been out in the weather for some time. There was nothing in it. We searched up to the parking lot of Queen Road, then worked southwest along the hillside below the parking lot. We searched the fenced backyard of the Walenta Drive and continued west above King Road. From there, I was joined by Sergeant Gunderson, and we went through the south side of King Road, around the back, and then back west between King Road and King Road. And something King Road. Those are house numbers. I worked over to Queen Road, going north, then between some address Queen Road and some address King Road, out to Taylor Avenue. We crossed the open play field from Taylor Avenue north to Nez Pierce Drive at the crosswalk near some location that's been redacted. We walked the pathway north to the World War I Memorial Grove and stopped at that point. I returned to the intersection at Taylor Avenue and King Road, where I met with Chief Fry again. From that point, we proceeded east along the south side of the Taylor Avenue, looking in the shrubbery around the cars parked around the curb. At the entrance to the parking lot of the Taylor at such and such address, Taylor Avenue, I located a black vest laying on the grass next to the fire hydrant. This video has been posted all over the place. Maddie's supposed jacket found next to the fire hydrant, as a lot of people say. The vest appeared to have been weathered with leaves and debris on it. It appeared to have been there for several days. Now, this is on the 14th. It's the day after. They're saying the jacket appeared to have been there for several days. So not just tossed that night, but several days. That's important to kind of keep in mind on that. All right. The vest appeared to be weathered with leaves and debris. It appeared to have been there for several days. I checked the pockets and examined the vest, but did not find anything of note. As we continued to walk east along the south side of Taylor Avenue, I noticed a large amount of trash and various items on the grass and the bushes, including various glass and plastic bottles, pipes of various types, some articles of clothing such as t-shirts, underwear, men's and women, and various papers and litter. All appeared to have been in the area for several days or weeks, and I did not determine any evidentiary value for these items. Did somebody strip and toss clothes there? They're saying that those clothes have been there for days. It's just interesting to note. We won't make a whole lot of it right now, but I just wanted to highlight it because isn't that interesting? Things that make you go, Now let's talk about John Rosinski. On 11/16, several days after the murder, I spoke with KN at the substation at the University of Idaho campus. I asked if she had any special relationships with any of the victims, and Kay said she was really good friends with Xana Kernodle and met Xana freshman year. Kay said that she was also close friends with Kaylee Gonzalez and met her freshman year during recruitment. Kay said she knew Kay said she knew Kaylee the best. So this is recruitment would indicate the frats, a frat member in this area, and recruitment of the fraternities. I asked Kay if Kaylee hung out or associated with anyone with violent tendencies, and she said no, and expressed she was confused about the incidents because what she saw in the news, Kay said, Kaylee mainly stuck together with her roommates, Xana, Madison, and Dylan Mortonson. So now there's a lot of talk from people that said Dylan and Kaylee weren't really good friends. This person seems to indicate the two of them hang out with each other on a regular basis. Hey, I don't have my lights behind me. I want to get those lights going. I like those lights. Anyways, I digress. These are long form, very raw videos. All right. Kay said that Kaylee also hung out with the King girls. Kaylee hung out with the King girls, which were, and then JT, N, an F, B, D, and A, V. I asked Kay if Kaylee was involved in using illegal substances. This is the important part. I realize it's very hard when you're at letter. They got a lot of stuff redacted still. I asked Kay if Kaylee was involved in using illegal substances, and Kay said just coke, probably. So this person thinks Kaylee does coke, probably. I asked Kay if she saw Kaylee doing cocaine, and Kay said no, but she knew Xana was pretty into it. Now we've got multiple people who are saying Xana and Ethan were doing cocaine. Maybe Kaylee was. Maybe they're just assuming that because she's in the house where they do cocaine. Whatever the case may be, drugs are an element of this case. Detective Dean asked if Ethan Chapin, Xana's boyfriend, was into cocaine, and Kay said she did not know. Kay said that she didn't know Ethan that well. Detective Dean asked if drugs were being sold from the house or if the drugs were more used for parties. Kay said that that they were used but not sold. Detective Dean asked if there was large quantities of drugs at the house or if the house was known as a drug house, and Kay said no. So again, party drugs used at this house. No indication from this friend that it's a drug house, meaning that they sell drugs out of it. It's just a place where the girls use recreational party drugs. All right. I asked Kay if Kaylee ever mentioned about having a stalker or having concerns about anyone, and Kay said no. Now, I want to know why the stalker keeps coming up. This is early. Now, again, I would tell you the reason being is early on, before the murders, Kaylee had told the police that she thought she had a stalker, and it had been reported multiple times. So I'm sure that's why, because again, I think law enforcement believed that Kaylee was the target and that it was because of Kaylee's stalker. And so whenever they're asking questions about Kaylee, they're asking, do you know anything about a stalker? We're asking questions about Kaylee. Did Kaylee do drugs? Did she have a stalker? Did Kaylee do drugs? Did she have a stalker? The focus is on that because I think Kaylee was one of the reasons why they thought it was a main target was Kaylee. All right. Now, I asked Kay if Kaylee ever mentioned about having a stalker or having concerns about anyone, and Kay said no. Kay also said Kaylee never mentioned anything to the girls. Kay asked if we saw the Twitch stream. This is about the Grub Truck, I believe. I asked Kay what she saw in the stream, and she mentioned there were two guys. I asked Kay if she recognized the two guys. Kay said she did not. Kay said her friend, somebody with initials of PC, and some name, redacted with a G, were at the Grub Truck and saw Kaylee and Madison. Kay said P, whoever that is, mentioned that the two males were being weird. I asked Kay if she or anyone recognized anyone from the Grub Truck stream, and Kay said no. I asked Kay if she was familiar with the fraternity members of a certain fraternity, and she said yes. So we're looking into the frats. There are 2 males that are acting weird. Who are those weird individuals? Jack Showalter, Jack DeCour? Who are the weird individuals? I asked Kay if there was anything mentioned about why the males were labeled as weird. Kay said she thought one of the males nudged the other male like, oh, those are the girls, go get them. Ha! The 2 males are looking at Kaylee and Maddie is what I'm gathering, and they're making nudging, and this is seen on video. We've seen these kind of things. What was going on? Everything that happened that night has to do with what happened to the Grub Truck. I'm telling you. And here's, or not the Grub Truck, the Corner Club. This is my gut. Everything that happened that night stemmed from the Corner Club. And guess who wasn't at the Corner Club? Fucking Brian Kohlberger was not at the Corner Club. If he was, we would know about it by now. Do you not understand that? They've seen video of the Corner Club, right? They've seen video. The cops went through the videos. If Brian Kohlberger was at the Corner Club, then if Brian Kohlberger was there, we would know it. So all of this shit happening around the Corner Club and what happened that night, weird things and people following them and weird things being said, and Maddie telling somebody fuck you and they're going to get you for this, and all that shit that you all just want to dismiss because Brian Kohlberger, the incel from a town over, did it. It's not the whole picture. You know it's not the whole picture. You know it. In your gut, you know it. So stop being dumb. You know it in your heart. All right. I asked Kay if there was anything mentioned about the males. Oh, sorry, wait, we already covered that. I'm going to go to the next paragraph. I asked Kay if any of the victims had any issues with anyone, and Kay said that Kaylee was unproblematic and peaceful. Kay said she can't imagine someone with violent tendencies around her. Kay said she felt the same way about Madison. Kay said, if anything, maybe Ethan and Xana. They could have been. In other words, Ethan and Xana could have attracted some negative attention, but not Kaylee and Maddie. They were peaceful. But maybe Ethan and Xana, they stirred up shit, maybe, I guess. I asked if Ethan and Xana associated with violent people, and Kay said this because Kay said that Xana and Ethan were more outgoing and hung out with different friend groups. Okay, so Xana and Ethan, I'm getting the picture, are more into the party drugs. They're more into the drug scene. They have a little rougher crowd. And if somebody were thinking somebody might have violent tendencies, it would be towards Ethan and Xana because they run in a different crowd. The other girls are a little bit more meek, a little bit more mild as far as the drug interactions and rough and tumble people. Detective Dean asked if Kaylee or Madison recently had a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. Here we fucking go. Pardon my French. Kay said Kaylee dated a guy named Jay, that would be Jack, JD, Jack DeCour, for a couple of years, and Kaylee and Jack were high school sweethearts. By the way, somebody busted my nuts in one of my videos that they weren't high school sweethearts. Okay, that's what the police think as well, and that's. Kay said Jack was a really nice person. Kay said she spoke to Kaylee a couple of times before the incident, and Kaylee said once she graduated, she was looking for an apartment in Texas. Kay said Kaylee had met a guy from Texas that is already living in Texas, and they were going to be roommates. Kaylee met a guy, and she was moving in with the guy. She had moved on. She had broke up with Jack DeCour. She had a new, potentially boyfriend in Texas, who she was moving to Texas to move in with him and their dog. This is a primary motivator for a jealous ex-boyfriend who, according to documents as we see, was having mental issues, a mental decline in the weeks prior to the murders when Kaylee broke up with him. And then if I read that right, if I read it right, Jack DeCour's having a mental decline when Kaylee breaks up with him, and it's known she's going to Texas and moving in with another guy and taking their dog. All right, I feel like you know. Sorry, that was a little freaking moment from Jerry Maguire. Anyways, I side tangent on pop culture in the middle of something really serious. All right. So I asked Kay if Kaylee and Jack were still together when Kaylee mentioned that mentioned that to her, and Kay said that no, they were already broken up. So everybody knows, Kaylee was very vocal about it, that she was done with Jack DeCour. She was done with them. So she had made it vocal. According to Howard Bloom, she spent all that weekend before her death shitting all over Jack DeCour and making sure everyone knew that relationship was over. Did that anger Jack DeCour, or am I an asshole? It's the incel next door. I'm just asking questions, and I'm just asking questions. Kay said that Jack, mentioned that Kaylee attempted to call Jack around 3 hours asking if he was up. So she's saying Jack mentioned Kaylee was attempting to call him that night before of the murders, and around 3 o'clock. We know from the documents that have been released that the girls, Maddie and Kaylee, were frantically calling Jack DeCoeur between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Those phone calls stopped at around 3 o'clock in the morning, I believe. And so Jack, this is a reference. Kay said Jack mentioned Kaylee had been attempting to call around 3 o'clock in the morning, asking if he was up. Kay said she didn't think that Jack replied to Kaylee because he thought it was some type of booty call. So Jack DeCoeur, listen carefully. Jack DeCoeur knew the girls were calling him. This is evidence, at least from somebody related to Jack DeCoeur. He was not fucking sleeping. That is the official police report. Jack DeCoeur was fucking asleep in his room. We know he was sleeping. And yet Jack DeCoeur says, I just assumed that when they were texting me and calling me left and right, that it was a booty call. They wanted me for some ass. Really? Is that what you thought? And I thought you were sleeping, asshole. I thought you were sleeping. And I don't mean asshole because I don't know you, Jack. Everybody says you're a great guy. So if Jack gets reference of this and I just called him an asshole, everybody thinks you're a great guy. Get that. But the point being is that story stinks to high heaven. We were told, and maybe it's not your fault, we were told you were asleep. We were told, essentially, or led to believe you didn't know that the girls were calling and texting. Here we're finding out you ignored the calls and the texts coming into you from the two girls up to 3 o'clock in the morning because you assumed it was a booty call. Did you really think it was a booty call? I don't know. Considering that Kaylee was shitting all over Jack at the bar and saying it was over, did she really think did he really think she just changed her mind and wanted a booty call? Detective Dean asked how they knew that Kaylee attempted to reach out to Jack, and Kay said because Jack told them. Jack told them. Yeah, Kaylee's been trying to reach me all morning long. Kaylee said that she thought they found out after people were asking Jack if he knew anything about what happened. This is critical in my opinion. This is critical. Jack DeCoeur knew the girls were calling. He was ignoring their phone calls. He's playing it off as, in my opinion, he's playing it off as, yeah, she wanted some ass. She wanted some D that night. So she was calling me for a booty call. Is that really what happened? I don't know. Detective Dean asked if Madison had a boyfriend, and Kay said yes. And they call him, so Dean asked if Madison had a boyfriend. Kay said yes, and they call him something. Sugar, I think is Jack Sugar we're talking about, and said she thought his first name was Jack. Kay said they are still together. Kay said she does not think that they had problems, and Sugar, maybe, was a good guy. Detective Dean asked what he looked like, and Kay said Sugar, I believe, was short, maybe 5'7", and balding. Kay said he had brown hair and was skinny. Kay thought he lived in Coeur d'Alene. Okay. Kay said B was Madison's little. So this is in the fraternity speak. A little is somebody that your big, Kaylee, is going to watch over and help mentor them through the Greek life and through college years. And so Kay said that B, whoever that is, was Madison's little. So Madison was in charge of this younger fraternity person. Kay said Kaylee and Madison were the closest out of all the roommates. Kaylee and Maddie were the closest out of all the roommates. Detective Dean asked if D had a boyfriend. Kay said yes. Kay said his name is Q, I think. Is that a Q? QK. And lived in Boise. Kay said that Q was nice and hardworking. Kay said that Q had epilepsy and it was a nonviolent person. Kay said that she was not aware of any issues between roommates. I asked if Kaylee hung out with any other males. Kay said that Kaylee was talking to a guy named MB, who was a member of something. Kay said that they had a sexual relationship and would hook up here and there. So Kaylee's banging another guy. How does Jack DeCoeur feel about that? He just broke up with her 3 weeks before, but everyone in town maybe knows that Kaylee hooks up for sex with another individual who, by the way, is not the guy she's moving in with in Texas. So Kaylee's got multiple men in her life. She has moved on from Jack DeCoeur. Does Jack feel the same way, people? Does Jack feel the same way? That Kaylee is sleeping with multiple people, moving in with the guy, taking their dog? Is that all just okay? Or is that the reason why Jack's having a mental decline? After having been broke up with by his high school sweetheart, the girl that was the love of his life. Come on, do the math. All right. Kay said that they had a sexual relationship and they would hook up from there. Kay described this guy to be over 6 foot, brunette, medium build. Kay said he was serving as vice president too. So he's somebody important in a sense that he's in a leadership position. Everybody should know him. Guess what? It's not. Guess what? It's not. It's not Brian Koberger. Anyways, I asked Kay if there was anyone else Kaylee spent time with, and Kay said no, unless Kaylee met someone at the bar that night. That indicates to me, and I don't want to besmirch people's reputation, this girl's saying, hey, look, Kaylee's moving in with a guy in Texas. She's hooking up for sex with another guy in town. Could there be other men that she's involved with? I don't know. She met somebody at the bar that night. Sounds to me like Kaylee hooks up with a lot of guys sounds like that. I don't know. But again, Jack DeCour's mental health sounds like to me, unless I read that wrong, and I hope to God I didn't read it wrong because I'm beating the hell out of it. Jack DeCour's mental health was declining as Kaylee's moving on and telling him she's moving on and maybe hooking up with multiple men all over town and bragging about how it's over between her and Jack. This would drive a lot of men crazy. Now, I realize there's somebody who will tell me, and I can't believe you're a moron like this. But anyways, the point being, someone will tell me, oh my God, devil's advocates, people don't kill somebody because your girlfriend broke up with you. Are you fucking kidding me? It's one of the primary reasons. Jealousy and rage is one of the primary reasons for murder. And the fact that her face was mutilated suggests something very, very personal. Somebody took it out very, very harshly on Kaylee. Now, Matt, if Xana's face was also mutilated, then we have to make the connection, why Xana? Were they mutilated just because those two girls in particular fought back and they just got it worse because they fought back? I'll give you, that could be a reason. Or is it personal? Is it something personal with them? So let's continue on. All right. I asked if there, so we talked about there was no, but she might have met somebody at the bar. Kay did not know if Kaylee had met anyone in particular, but heard a male had gotten kicked out for being creepy towards Madison. Kay said J, I think Jack, or Z could probably have more info because they were also at the bar. Yes, Jack DeCour was at the bar. Kay said the last time she spoke to Kaylee was about 1700 hours. So was that 5 p.m. On 11/13. Last time she spoke to Kaylee was about 1700 hours on 11/13. I don't think that's possible. They weren't they dead already by in the early morning of 11/13? Boy, I'm pausing here. Kay said Kaylee showed up with all of Kaylee's roommates at her apartment, the Whites, sometime between 1430 and 1500 hours. She has to mean the 12th. It has to be the 12th. Kay said that they left sometime between 1700 and 1800 hours. So 5 to 6 o'clock, 6 to 7 o'clock. No, 5 to 7 o'clock. Anyways, I told, or 5 to 8 o'clock, somewhere in that time. Anyways, fuck. Why my math's going off on that? 12. Anyways, I told Kay I was aware of a social media post of all the roommates pictured together, and Kay said that was at her apartment. I asked Kay, so that's the famous picture of them all on the stoop or wherever, where they're all taking the picture. That's a famous thing. This is the Kay who they're talking about. I asked Kay if she had been over to Kaylee's house before. I asked if people usually the Wi-Fi or use the if people usually the Wi-Fi, and Kay was unsure. Kay said they usually leave their doors unlocked and everyone knows it's a blank out of house. I don't know what that means exactly, but it sounds like people come and go from this house all the time. I asked why Kaylee lived in a house with a different sorority, and Kay said that Kaylee and Madison have been best friends for several years and spoke about living with each other. Kay said that Kaylee was still close friends with freshman, sophomore friend group. All right, Aaron Morris. 11/17, several days after the murders at 14:30 hours, 2:30 in the afternoon, I believe, I responded to the University of Idaho Kibbe Dome to interview J, middle initial N. Captain Barrett stated N possibly had information regarding the homicides. N took Detective Dean and myself to a conference room to speak. N stated on Sunday 11/13, so N is relaying what happened on Sunday, the day of the murders. Between 9 o'clock in the morning and 10, he was walking his dog. He stated when he walked by the first time, he noticed that the front door of the 1122 King Road residence on the north side of the building facing campus was wide open. He stated he knew it was a party house, so assumed that someone was too intoxicated and forgot to close the door the night before, and stated that he walked his dog up Taylor Avenue to Blake Avenue, then down Sweet Avenue. He said that the walk took him approximately an hour, and stated that he walked back to his apartment around 11 o'clock in the morning. The front door was still wide open, and said that he was unsure if the information was known but thought that he should report it. Now, again, rumors have been circulating for years whether or not the front door was open. Police are getting a witness saying, yes, absolutely, the front door was wide open. Somebody reported seeing it open, I believe, at 9 o'clock in the morning. This individual, oh yeah, this is the individual who saw it at 9 o'clock. I thought this guy was at 10. So this is the individual who saw it open as early as 9 o'clock in the morning all day long, including maybe the back door also open. N said that he was unsure if the information had been known, but he thought he'd report it. Okay, I asked N if he knew anyone who lived in the house. He said not personally, but in passing. I thanked him, and he was cleared. Now we're doing Lawrence Mowry. November 16th, several days after the murder, 2022, I applied for and was granted the following warrants for cell phone providers serving the area around the 1122 King Road residence. And I think that's all I wanted to point out, that there's nothing really I mean, I'm not going to dive into the cell phone records other than they're grabbing cell phone records of everybody. Standard procedure. We're not going to need to cover that. Let's get into more of Mowry right here. November 15th, 2022. I received an email from SG, the blank of Kaylee Gonzalez. Steve Gonzalez is what I believe this is it. I received an email from SG, the blank father of Kaylee Gonzalez. That's how I'm going to read those redacted things. He stated he had access to some of Kaylee's messages and phone calls. Steve, I'm going to say, stated that he would have blank somebody. I believe that's going to be Olivia, Kaylee's sister, contact me about those files. So I think this is all Steve Gonzalez and Olivia. It's his family, the family of Kaylee Gonzalez. This is what we're talking about. I was able to speak to Olivia, and she sent me various files, including an image from the Spokesman Review showing a camera on a nearby residence, text messages between Kaylee and JD, Jack DeCour, text messages between Kaylee and her Uber driver. E is the first initial. Is that Eric Gower? No, that's the Uber driver. Yeah, anyways, I believe that might be Eric Gower. A recent phone call list and video from the Grub Truck Twitch TV feed. This is what the family had said all along. The Gonzalez family has said all along. They had to give the police the video footage. They had to look on pictures in the news and say, hey, did you see the camera that's in this news photo? Did we go grab that photo? And then the police will go and then follow up to get the photo. Why the Gonzalez family has to be ahead of the police department, I don't understand that. But there it is, for what it's worth. And it's confirmed by the police that they got this information from the family who's doing their own detective work. I attached those files to the case file. The communication between Kaylee and blank D was located on D's phone. Examinated the Twitch feed was previously downloaded. In the image showing the camera, so this is the image from the Spokesman Review, I believe, showing the camera. It was found that the resident at blank King Road, the SD card from the camera was brought to the Moscow Police Department, but the file system of the SD card or the card was not recognized by any of the forensic computers. So it looks like while Olivia told them about the camera, another officer had already snagged the SD card from that thing. So I guess there you go. They were a little ahead of that one, despite the fact that it looked like they weren't ahead of it. They actually had already gotten that camera. That's how I'm reading that. The card was returned to the owner and reinstalled into the camera. Now on November 17th, Officer John Rosinski recontacted the owner of the camera via phone. O stated that she was out of town. That's probably the owner of that camera. Stated she was out of town, but sent a video to Officer Rosinski showing a figure walk to the dumpster and appear to look inside. So they've noticed something of interest. Somebody is walking to the dumpster looking inside on the camera, and it was interesting enough to note that she wanted the police officers to look into that. To preserve any potential evidence on the camera, I asked O, I believe that's the owner of the camera, if she would seize the entire device, including the SD card, to which she stated yes. O stated she would not be back to Moscow until approximately November 28th. And they directed O to contact me when she returns to her residence, at which time I will attempt to connect the camera back to her Wi-Fi router and view video from the device. That was from Lowry. All right, moving through. Now we got more from Mowry on November 13th. This is the day of the murders. I was informed 2 of the victims had been patrons. Now, again, these things are out of order. Some of these documents are out of order. So we just talked about Mowry from days after the murder. Now we're going back to the day of the murder. On November 13, 2022, I was informed 2 of the victims had been patrons at the Grub Truck located on Main Street in Moscow, Idaho. I was also informed Grub Truck streams live feeds of their customers' sales via Twitch TV. I was able to locate the Twitch account, Grub Truckers, and located the stream from November 12th through the 13th, 2022. This stream was labeled the Carbonara Effect. We'll never reveal our secret ingredient and located at, and then it has their Twitch address. In the video, Kaylee Gonzalez and Maddie Mogan are seen walking into camera view on the video at 3:43 timestamp. This, I cannot believe this is true. It has to be an error in the time reporting. 3:43 would be 3 in the morning. The girls left the Grub Truck at 1 something in the morning. So I'm thinking the time is off for some reason, but that happens. Timestamps sometimes are inaccurate. So I don't think it's 3:43 in the morning, but that's what the timestamp says. They're accompanied by a male later identified as Jay or Jack Showalter. That's what I believe the JS is there. Jack Showalter. Gonzalez orders and receives food. At 3:53 timestamp, that's not necessarily 3:53 in the morning. It's 3:53 timestamp. It's probably like 1:53 in the morning-ish. The girls are seen walking around the truck and leave the area. Showalter, I believe is what we're talking about, appears to be talking to another patron and does not see the girls leave. Showalter, I believe it's going to say there, then raises his arms in a what fashion and walks away in a different direction than the girls. Like, he didn't know they were going to disappear. He's been trying to watch them. All of a sudden he turns around, the girls are gone, and it's like, what? Because he's keeping an eye on the girls. That's something I want to just highlight to your attention. There is shit going on. There is shit going on in this whole area. And you guys all want to, not you guys, people want to just ignore this. And the incel from Pullman is all the story, all not what was going on with all these other things going on around the girls. Here's Mallory from November 18th, several days, a week, it looks like almost after the murders. November 18th, 2022, I logged into Uber law enforcement's portal. So keep in mind, Uber has a law enforcement portal. So that one of the things I found about this is how many different social medias that have a law enforcement portal to be able to have law enforcement directly log in and look at people's Snapchat, Uber accounts, and stuff like that. So law enforcement, by the way, are more hooked into your life than you realize. And you would think, in some regards, and this, I'm just thinking out loud, that this would be a violation of your rights of privacy. If law enforcement are already looking at your private accounts with these companies, and the way it works from what I understand, and I'm going to riff on this for a moment without the knowledge, the way it works from my understanding is if Uber willingly gives law enforcement access to their databases, then that's kind of their little gray area. Law enforcement isn't illegally spying on your data. Uber just gives them a portal to their data, or Snapchat gives them a portal to their data. It's a legal gray area. So you think you're being protected by Uber or Snapchat or whatever, but law enforcement has portals into those systems to look at what people are doing on them. Pay attention and think about that next time you think that your stuff is private, because we're getting more and more of a slippery slope on what people are allowed to spy on you without warrants or a proper due process of the law. But anyways, here we go. That was my side rant, and I could be wrong about that. I'm not, but I could be. I could be. All right, so on November 18, I logged into the Uber's law enforcement portal and submitted an exigent preservation request for any location data associated with the Uber driver named Eric Gower, e.g., I'm just going to say that's probably Eric Gower, with the phone number of, and it's got his phone number. Due to the nature of the investigation, Uber recommended an exigency request for the preservation. So, in other words, law enforcement can already see information from the Uber driver, but they want to preserve the information, so they're asking Uber to preserve it. In a screenshot received from AG, that's Olivia Gonzalez, I believe, it showed messages which appear to be from Gower's phone, I believe, between Kaylee Gonzalez and himself. The name of the recipient is Kaylee Uber. So Eric Gower and Kaylee had a communication over text. It is unknown if G, I believe Gower, was on duty with Uber at the time of him picking up Gonzalez and Maddie Mogan. Uber stated if the driver was on duty, it would show the location of the vehicle. If the driver was not on duty, Uber would not have the data. So in other words, if you turn on the Uber app, Uber is tracking your car for Uber while you were driving. If he wasn't on duty and just happened to know Kaylee, and Kaylee texted him directly, not through Uber, booking an Uber app on her phone and saying, I need a ride, have a driver pick me up. If she actually just has his personal phone number and says, hey, Eric, can you pick me up? It may not have been an Uber transaction. You follow the logic? All right. Uber would not have had the data. I was informed by Uber customer service. This is common if the driver provides personal transportation services. So this driver may lose money to Uber when he gives people a ride, right? He has to give commissions to Uber for making that transaction. So once he gets to know a client, Kaylee, for example, hey, I want to give you rides all the time, but if you don't go through Uber and just pay me directly, I make more money. So maybe they worked out a deal where she could just text the driver of Uber and he wouldn't necessarily be on duty with Uber, so he could collect money from from her and cut Uber out of the case. Hey, Uber, I bet you're kind of pissed off about getting cut out. I bet you that happens a lot. I think you said you know it happens a lot. Anyways, at 14:34 hours, I received an email from Uber stating they received my request. I received an email at approximately 16:17 hours from Uber, which contained files regarding the Uber logs of Eric Gower, e.g. The records show his location up into approximately 1:15 hours, 1:15 in the morning, where it appears no other information is found, and Gower goes off duty. So what does this tell us, people? What does this tell us? Sleuths out there, think about this. It looks like Eric Gower was contacted by Kaylee for a ride, but he was off hours. He had turned off his Uber account. He wasn't working as Uber. Kaylee must have texted him directly for a ride, cutting Uber out of the process when she needed a ride from the Grub Truck after the bar. These records were attached to the case file. No warrant was requested or returned for Uber, providing the data via exigent request. Okay, interesting shit. Interesting shit for you sleuths out there. Let's continue on. Where are we looking? It looks like we're going to be on pace to do this in under an hour. Detective Mowry, on November 13th, this is the day of the murders, I was informed of a possible surveillance camera located at such and such King Road. Corporal Ryan Snyder had spoken with one of the residents at this location, PC or O? PO? PC? It's hard to see because it's kind of cut off. Who had a camera using HomeEye Pro app on the porch of their dwelling. I think we've seen this video many times, the porch camera video. On November 17, 2022, I requested the assistance of Officer John Rosinski to recontact O and see if she could provide the video from the camera. We already know about O. We already know about the camera, so this is the same person before. Officer Rosinski contacted O, who stated that she was in Boise, Idaho until November 28th. We heard that. Officer Rosinski, C, sent him a video of a male subject walking by the camera at approximately 3:20 in the morning towards the dumpster. This is where I told you, where we read that they thought it was suspicious that somebody was going to a dumpster about 3:30 in the morning. So here we're getting alerted to it again. Officer Rosinski contacted me and I spoke to O and requested permission to remove the camera from the residence, and she consented. So they wanted to make sure to unplug this camera so that it wouldn't be overwritten before she got back into town. That's the idea that I get. So they didn't want the camera continuing to record stuff and get overwritten. That gets explained later on as a first in, first out. Videos get overwritten and they want to make sure to get it disconnected so it doesn't lose the important data. We're getting to that. While attempting to view the data on the card, I received a forwarded email from O.N. That might be, again, the owner of the vehicle, whose sister, M.K., resides at the residence. The email stated that he was viewing the video remotely when Officer Morris removed the camera. So, in other words, the owner of that camera is literally looking at their own camera remotely, watching the videos, talking about that guy going to the dumpster, when the officer comes and detaches the camera from the internet and they lose service to their camera. So that's kind of interesting shit. It's just weird, like, hey, that's how things work. So they were remotely watching their own home video cameras when the officer disconnected their camera with permission. He stated that he saw a suspicious vehicle in the area and was concerned with the vehicle footage stored on the device being overwritten. And so this is where they said, hey, look, there's a suspicious vehicle. The owners of the camera perhaps were looking at it and telling law enforcement, we wanted to make sure that you looked at this vehicle. I reinstalled the camera in the light socket and powered it on. I was able to watch as I accessed the footage on the camera. During this time, the camera showed a vehicle entering the area at approximately 3:56 hours, so close to 4 o'clock in the morning, and leaving at a high rate of speed at approximately 4:20 in the morning. This is suspect vehicle 1, the alleged killer's car, we believe. L provided the video to me. I uninstalled the camera and seized the wireless router. Both items were then taken back to Moscow Police Department as evidence. Okay, we're getting just a little bit more information about things which will be interesting for you internet sleuths later on down the road. John Rosinski. On 11:15 days after the murder, about 13:48 hours, he's speaking to a PO on the phone. She says she's good friends with Kayla Gonzalez, but also friends with Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin. P said she was a member of a sorority. P is currently a junior at the University of Idaho. Okay, here's where it's important. P said she was not aware of anyone that Kaylee associated with that had violent tendencies. P said she was not aware of Kaylee being involved in any drugs in any way. P said she knew people partied with drugs, but doesn't know of Kaylee or any of her other roommates being involved in drugs. P said that she did not know if drugs were being sold from the residence. So just more information that drugs are used at the house, but not sure Kaylee and her friends use them or not. Xana and Ethan sound like they do. It's not sure whether Kaylee does as well. P said she was at the party earlier in the day at a friend's apartment at the Whites. P said that the apartment she saw Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. P said they were all just hanging out, and there were other people there as well. P said there was nobody of concern at the apartment, and everyone present was a familiar person. P said she also last saw Kaylee at the Grub Truck. P said she arrived after Kaylee, and P said she arrived after Kaylee and said Kaylee was there with Madison Mogan. P said Kaylee's demeanor was good, and they struck up a conversation. P said Kaylee seemed really happy and said Kaylee and Madison were laughing. P said she did not have a conversation with Madison and only Kaylee. P said they did not mention that what their plans were after the Grub Truck. So at the Grub Truck, the girls seem happy. It does look that way on camera, even though weird shit's happening around the girls. People are staring at the girls. People are watching girls. People are following the girls. P said Kaylee and Madison seemed a little intoxicated and believed they came from the club. P said Kaylee seemed coherent and was not stumbling or slurring her words. P did not know if Kaylee and Madison showed up to the Grub Truck with anyone. Yes, they did. P said she later watched the Twitch video and it appeared someone showed up with Kaylee and Madison, but she did not recognize the individual. That would be Showalter, I believe. P said her friends did not either. P said after Kaylee got her food, she saw Kaylee and Madison walk in the direction of campus. P did not see anyone following them. P mentioned that she saw in the Grub Truck video someone walking in the same direction. I believe Showalter followed after them. P said she heard that there was someone concerning at the corner club. It's an odd sentence. P said she heard there was someone concerning at the corner club. Okay, there you go. P said she heard the individual was being creepy towards Madison and was kicked out. Remember, this is at the club. Someone being hands-on, staring at Maddie, all that kind of shit. P was not aware of any other males that Kaylee spent time with. P said she knew that Kaylee had an ex-boyfriend and they went to U of I, but she understood they were on good terms. So again, there is a narrative out there that that Jack DeCour and Kaylee, even though Jack DeCour's mental health is declining, she's breaking up with them, she's fooling around with other men, she's moving in with another man. Apparently they were still on good terms, according to some people. P said that she knew Madison had a boyfriend that graduated from U of I. P did not know his name. P did not know any one that Ethan and Xana hung out with. All right, we're almost done with the documents of the first 50 documents. We've only got a few left to go. Let's power through this. On November 16th, this is from Danny Vargas. On November 16th, 2022, at approximately 7:45 in the morning, Latah County Coroner, this is days after the murder, Kathy Mabbitt and I attended 4 autopsies for Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez at the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office. So the bodies were shipped up to Spokane, Washington. The 4 autopsies were all performed by Dr. V.S. Gary Tullison, a detective with the Idaho State Police, observed 3 of the autopsies, Kernodle, Mogan, and Gonzalez, as he arrived after the autopsy for Chapin had already been performed. Then there's a bunch of stuff about what was swabbed and stuff on the bodies. We don't need to have that information right now. I didn't find it important enough to highlight and talk about. Let's continue on and power through this. Justin Dean. On November 21, 2022, at approximately 11:57 hours. This is weeks after the murders. I was asked by Captain Tyson Barrett to follow up on a possible lead at the 1122 King Road homicide case. I was told a Mexican drug dealer, drug angle. Okay, so I was asked to follow up on a possible lead. I was told a Mexican drug dealer with the moniker, we don't know, was possibly selling drugs to several fraternities and sororities on the University of Idaho campus. I told Captain Barrett I would contact several of my contacts to see if anyone knew of the mysterious O name. I believe it's an O. Could be a C because it's kind of cut off. At approximately 12:04 hours, I began contacting my fellow Quad City Drug Task Force. This is important. There was a Quad City Drug Task Force investigating drug connections in the area, including a Mexican drug, I don't want to say cartel, drug dealer, a Mexican drug dealer. So this is a thing. Drugs were in the area, and there was 4 police jurisdictions looking into the drug angle prior to the murders. Pay attention, because certain people out there, certain YouTubers, and you know who they are really, really big on the drug angle. And here we have the police officers looking into the drug angle as well. At approximately 12:11 hours, I reached out to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, ATF Special Agent SATJ Withera, out of Spokane, Washington. office referencing this particular Mexican drug dealer or whatever. S.A. Withers hadn't heard of that person, but said he would reach out to other agencies in the area about him. I also spoke to somebody, CHOH, at approximately 13:13 hours, and JP at approximately 17:25 hours. H and P said they never heard of this person, O, selling cocaine in the area. P said he would contact me if he heard anything. Emma Bailey and what the fuck is... Anyways, some of these individuals, I think I'm just all of a sudden blanking on who these potential... we know the connection between fentanyl and cocaine in the west side of the state, and a drug and a death there. We've covered it in other videos. So just pay attention. This is going to come back later. I spoke with Brandon DeMeyer with the Benton County Sheriff's Office in Washington. Benton County. All right. At approximately 16:25, Deputy DeMeyer hadn't heard of O, but said he would contact his local detectives about the name and let me know if he found anything. This is from my neck of the woods, Benton County. Interesting. I will be waiting to see if I get information if I found out about O. So they're looking into this Mexican drug dealer named something starting with an O, and there's a drug connection. There's a quad drug task force that's looking into drugs in the area. These things should be important to you because there's a drug hit angle that house and the murders were a retribution for a drug deal, not necessarily by those who are in the house dealing drugs, but maybe family members who lived in that house of others who were involved in a drug incident. You should know the story, but we'll cover it more later. On November 26th, long after the murders, weeks after the murders, I requested and was granted a warrant for eBay for the sale of the following items between January 1st and to present. They were looking for K-bar full-size U.S. Marine fighting knife and leather sheath. On November 26th at approximately 19:07 hours, I logged into the eBay law enforcement request system. So eBay has a portal for law enforcement located at LE for lawenforcement.corp.ebay.com. So they have a law enforcement portal letting law enforcement come search through eBay records to see who's buying stuff on eBay. And again, that's kind of this quasi area of spying on people's privacy. But if your company you're dealing business with this wants to give that information freely to the police, it's a gray area. I received an email, and I doubt eBay tells you, hey, by the way, if the police ever want to just log in and see what you're doing, we just give them free access. Do you think eBay tells you that in your terms of service? By the way, law enforcement is always looking at your shit whenever you do business with us. I received an email from subject on eBay providing me with an internal case number. On November 28th at approximately 1100 hours, I received an email from eBay stating the files were ready to be downloaded. I logged into the portal and downloaded the files. The files, eBay showed several user IDs associated with the sale of the certain type of knife they were looking for. People from Arizona, Idaho, Pennsylvania, Washington, Idaho, Ohio, Wisconsin, New York, a whole bunch of different names. Just interesting. eBay sales. We know that we've been told that Brian Koberger bought the knife on Amazon. Of course, they never have to show that in a court of law because there will never be a court day on it because they avoided that and happened to show how they might try to link that. On November 13th, this is now Detective Mowry again. On November 13th, 2022, is it Officer Mowry or Detective? I think it's Detective Mowry. On November 13th, 2022, I responded to the 1122 King Road residence in Idaho in an attempt to interrogate the wireless router located at the residence. From my training and experience, I know wireless routers allow wireless devices, phones, tablets, etc., to connect to them for access to the internet or other devices in local area networks or LANs. According to this process, after a device has successfully connected to the wireless router, a log of this connection and the specific MAC address of each device is kept on the device. If a user previously selected the connect automatically setting while connecting to the wireless router, which is common default setting, the device will connect to the router automatically without any user input. These devices would have to be in close proximity to the router and shown by the MAC addressing log. So what they're trying to go with is they're going to say that Brian Koberger's phone, where they're going with it is Brian Koberger's phone, they're going to say came within access and touched the Wi-Fi, as they say, at the house. That Brian Koberger had somehow connected to the Wi-Fi of that house before, and when he came close to it, it touched the Wi-Fi again and logged his phone being there, which is, if that's the case, is why Bill Thompson says we can't put Brian Koberger in the house, but we can put his phone near the house. Anyways, The data previously stored on the wireless router located at 1122 King Road and preserved by Charter Spectrum may show individual MAC addresses of devices connected to the device. The suspect had previously connected to the wireless router, was in close proximity to the wireless router located in the residence. This device may have automatically connected and appear on the MAC address logs. This could provide evidence of when a device was in close proximity of the router the night that Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were murdered. So in other words, they're saying they basically saw an evidence that maybe Kohberger's phone touched the Wi-Fi of the house. But the timing is a little odd, so I'm going to leave that for now on this one. Going back to Maori, this is on the day of the murders. DM, I believe, was Dylan Mortonson. Now, this is where shit comes off the hook, and I'm kind of glad we're getting towards the end of this video. So here we go. Dylan Mortonson. What did she see? What did she hear that night? Here we fucking go. DM, Dylan Mortonson, was interviewed in regard to the homicide investigation at 1122 King Road resident. Okay. Dylan said she was a resident of the house where the incident occurred. Dylan said she was at a something party at around 10:30 hours. On 11/12, where she was drinking. Dylan said she went to blank house. Was that the White House? Dylan said she believed she arrived between 12:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the morning on the 13th. Dylan said that she thought Bethany arrived home at around 20 minutes after she arrived. Dylan said she believed Maddie and Kaylee arrived home at around 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. This is from the Grub Truck that came in. Dylan said she said, up to this, nothing weird had happened during the night. Dylan said she and her friend, somebody by the name of D, came home, followed by B from someplace redacted. D said L lived at the blank house and B was her roommate at the residence. D said when Maddie Mogen and Kaylee Gonzalez came home from the corner club at that time, everyone went to bed. D was asked about the layout of the house. D said Kaylee's room was directly above her room. Dylan said she believed, I'm just going to read Dylan. It says D, but I'm just going to read Dylan. I know who it is, right? D said she lived on the second floor and Kaylee lived on the third floor. D said Kaylee and Maddie both lived upstairs on the third floor in separate rooms. D said Xana lived closest to the bathroom on the second floor and B lived on the first floor. Bethany, that lived on the first floor. When asked about Murphy, Dylan said it was a dog owned in common between Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend, Jack. D said there were no apparent issues between Kaylee and Jack. Really? Okay. D said Maddie and her boyfriend named Jack Scherger, I believe, who was in Boise at the time of the incident. Dylan, indicated Xana was dating Ethan Chapin, who was in the room with her at the time of the incident. D did not know if anyone would want to hurt Ethan when she was asked. D was asked if she saw any cars in the area that should not be there. D said, no, I wasn't really looking for that. D said she woke up. This is where it gets shit crazy. D said she woke up around 4 o'clock in the morning on 11/13/22, where she could hear, spelled wrong, she could hear Kaylee and Murphy, the dog, dancing. D said she knew it was Kaylee because she recognized the voice and could hear Murphy barking. D said she heard Kaylee go upstairs and say, there's someone here. D said, thought she heard Kaylee run back down the stairs. D said Kaylee sounded scared when she made this statement. So Kaylee runs upstairs, says, there's someone here, runs back down the stairs, according to Dylan, and Kaylee sounds scared. That's one statement Dylan made. Dylan said at this time, she jumped up, locked the door because she didn't know what else to do. Dylan apparently is afraid there's an intruder in the house. That's why Kaylee said someone's here and she's running back down the stairs, according to this. D said she called out Kaylee's name and did not indicate if she got a response. D said she then tried to call Kaylee, Xana, and Maddie on their phones. D was asked if she saw anyone come downstairs or heard anything. D said, no, I don't even know how they got in. We're usually pretty good about locking the doors and never had problems before. I was just really random. So really, which one is it? Lots of people say the house always had open doors, always had unlocked doors. Dylan says the house is always locked. So which person do you believe? When asked again about the series of events, Dee said she opened the door when she first cried out to Kaylee, then closed the door because she was scared. Dylan said she didn't open the door again and heard who she thought was Kaylee, but could have seen Xana. So she thought it was Kaylee, but it could have been Xana, crying in the bathroom. Dee said she then heard a man's voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Dee said it was weird because the statement was not in a nice way. and the voice one that she had not heard before, or she had never heard before. D said someone called out to Kaylee again, and there was no crying after, and she did not know what happened after that. Someone called out to Kaylee again, and there was no crying after that, and she did not know what happened after that. Wow. D said she opened the door again, and the guy is right there. D described the male as approximately her height, 5'10", or about a few inches taller, not skinny, but athletic build. D said the suspect was wearing all black and with masks that covered just his forehead and goes around his face. Dylan showed with her hands the mask exposed his nose, but covered the mouth area. D said that she believed the suspect was white, but did not remember the eyebrow color or what his eyes looked like. D said that she saw the suspect, he saw her, and just left. She's claiming they locked eyes. They locked eyes, but the killer left her alone. Why? Dylan said she believed he was holding something near his stomach or belt line. Dylan used her hands to point straight out from her abdomen. Dylan then moved her hands apart and back together to simulate a bulge. Dylan said this area was black in color, and she thought now maybe it was a gun. Well, that's interesting when you hear what happens in a little bit here. Dylan said the unknown object had an arrow shape. Dylan seemed really unsure and said she was tired during the event. So Dylan doesn't know what she saw. She may have saw a gun. She may have saw something else. She may have seen a vacuum cleaner. She may have seen a white person. She doesn't know. May have seen eyebrows. She's not sure. Doesn't remember the guy's face. But you all will say, the guilters, she puts Brian Koberger at the house. Someone is here. Okay, so Dylan asked how long she believed it was from the time that Kaylee said someone's here to when she saw the suspect. Dylan said she thought it was about 10 or 20 minutes. Dylan went on to say that she was in and out of it, and she did not fully remember the incident. Dylan asked where the suspect was in the residence when Dylan saw him. Dylan said the suspect was between her bedroom and the door, her bedroom door and the kitchen. Dylan said she remembered watching the suspect go out the kitchen door and leave. Dylan said at this time she closed her door and locked it as fast as she could. Dylan said the suspect did not walk towards her or say anything. Dylan said once the suspect left, she immediately called Bethany. Dylan said Bethany informed her, so she's calling downstairs to Bethany. Bethany informs her she heard a sound that sounded like a firework. This is the gun thing now. Bethany will say that she saw what sounded like a firework and a flash of light, like a gun being shot. So Bethany informed her that she heard the sound that sounded like a firework. Dylan then said she told Bethany she called everyone and they're not answering. Dylan said she was in and out of it and believed everyone was just asleep. Dylan said she then went to Bethany's room, locked the door, and went to bed. That's a lie. It's a 100% lie. We know that now. So why are they lying? Dylan said she woke up at around 11. That's a lie. That's a lie. Everyone knows by now that those girls were texting and they were wide awake and they were texting everybody and their dog and calling people in the dog. They were wide awake. That's all a fucking lie. Bethany lied about going to sleep. Dylan lied about going to sleep. Grand jury testimony from what we've been told. There was a couple of people that had leaked information to James Patterson from the grand jury that said the grand jury thinks that these girls should be investigated. There's something suspicious. And if it's the fucking incel from Pullman, you tell me how Bethany and Dylan know Brian Koberger, because they seem to know and be lying about it. What are they lying about? What are they lying about? Is there any connection between Brian Koberger? Well, I'll tell you one thing. Prosecution and law enforcement and everybody has told us categorically there's no connection between Brian Koberger and any of the girls in that house. So why are they lying about what going on? Why are they lying about it? Fucking. All right, let me find my place. All right, so Dylan said that she called H. I believe this is going to be Hunter. In that morning, around 11-ish in the morning, she called Hunter. Hunter came to the residence. He went upstairs, told Dylan they needed to call law enforcement immediately. Dylan was asked if there was anything else she wanted to share. So Dylan was asked if she wanted to share anything. Dylan said the noise. Bethany described the noise as a loud boom, but Dylan did not hear it. So was there anything else you want to talk about? Yeah, Bethany heard a firework going off and saw a flash of light. Dylan was asked if any of her roommates shared any weird experiences in the last couple of weeks, or calls or texts. Dylan said no, it's been all normal, nothing weird at all, nothing really weird happens in Moscow usually. When asked if there was any altercations at the blank party, Dylan said no, everything was normal. Dylan mentioned again she was with D and Xana. So D is whoever she was watching movies with that night too as well, I think. And who was that? And Xana at the party. D was asked if anyone was having sexual relations with anyone that they shouldn't be. D said no. Okay. D brought up an incident which occurred about a month prior. Now, this is another interesting. D brought up an incident which had occurred a month prior. D said she and Bethany, B, remembered Kaylee saw a shadow while she was taking Murphy outside. Should have been outside. Dylan said Kaylee was also mentioned that she was at something 2 or 3 weeks prior. An individual was following her. This is Kaylee's stalker. She's been following somebody, and she thinks she sees somebody at the back of the house watching her is what it's coming down to. D also said that she arrived home one time, and the door to the King Road residence, was found open. D said she did not believe the slider was locked that night on 11/20/12. So the night of the murders, they don't think the sliding glass door was locked. D said she heard Murphy barking a lot around 4 in the morning on the 13th when Kaylee went upstairs. D said she heard Murphy go outside barking as well. Dylan was unsure if Murphy would chase a suspect outside. Dylan said she did not remember if the suspect who left the slider door open. Another interview that happened later with H.J., I believe this will be Hunter Johnson. Hunter, I believe, said around 12 o'clock on the 13th, Dylan called Emily, I believe, his girlfriend, and it says in parentheses, Hunter's girlfriend. Dylan told Emily she thought something was not right in her house. Dylan also told Emily she heard or saw a man in her house the night before. Dylan asked Emily and Hunter to come over and make sure everything was okay because she locked herself in Bethany's room. Hunter said he was the first person to get to the residence. Hunter said he entered the code to the front door. Entered the code to the front door. Front door was wide open all day long. Now, this may be the code to the front door. He entered the code to the front door. The front door was open all day long. Multiple people said the front door was open all day long. How is the front door now locked, closed, that he has to enter the code to enter the front door? I'm so fucking confused. Bethany and Dylan were in the blank room on the first floor. Dylan and Bethany were telling Hunter they did not know what was going on. Hunter said he went up the stairs and immediately went into Xana's room. Hunter said that it was the only room he went into. Hunter said when he approached the door, it was only partly open. Hunter said when he opened it, he saw Xana and Ethan. Hunter said he initially did not realize all the blood was dried blood in the room. Hunter said he thought at first they would have been drunk and left a mess. Hunter said he stood there for a moment. He began to realize what he was seeing. Hunter said Bethany and Dylan were uncontrollably crying. Why are they uncontrollably crying if they don't know people have been murdered and they think that they're just drunk? Why would they be uncontrollably crying? Hunter said he told them to get out of the house and call law enforcement. Hunter said he then went to the kitchen and grabbed a knife from the drawer. Hunter said he then went into the room and checked the closet to make sure there was not anyone else in the room. Hunter said he checked for a pulse on both Xana and Ethan. Hunter said both the bodies had rigor mortis and were cold with no breath or pulse. Hunter said he believed the two had been deceased for a while. Hunter said he believed he left the knife on the folding table in the living room. Hunter said Emily, Jack, and L started to enter the house. No, it must not have been Jack. I don't know. Emily, Jay, and L started to enter the house and come up the stairs. Hunter told them to get out of the residence. Hunter said this was about the time Moscow PD arrived on scene. He said that the officer told him to stay where he was at. Hunter said he did not know if anyone else was upstairs, as he had not gone upstairs or anywhere else in the house. Hunter said he had trouble comprehending what he was seeing. I get that. But I want to get these details right. And again, I realize this is long, right? I get it. You're fucking like, get over with it, devil's advocates, for fuck's sake, finish this. He indicated he was last at the residence at the night before, where he was pre-gaming for the Vandals football game. So they were getting drunk before the football game. Hunter said he got to the residence around 12 noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and left sometime around 2:30, it sounds like. And another interview with J.M. Jay said she texted Bethany, it looks like, at 11:20 on the morning of the murders. Jay asked B if she was awake. Jay said B called her back at 11:49 hours. B told Jay she and Dylan were in the something room. Jay said B was freaked out because her roommates were not answering the phone. Jay said she heard Dylan on the phone in the background saying, "I saw something." Jay said B asked her to come over to the King Road residence and pick her up. Jay said B texted her while she was driving there and said E and Hunter, Emily and Hunter, were on the way as well. Jay said that she arrived, MPD units were arriving as well. Jay said she did not go into the blank party, but went to a different one instead. Jay said Bethany and Dylan came to this other party after she left. Jay estimated that Dylan left the party around 12:30 at night, and Bethany left the party around 1 o'clock in the morning on the 13th. Jay said that she was in blank with Dylan, somebody else, and Bethany and Xana. Jay said Xana and Maddie were both in blank, but they dropped out, and Kaylee was in blank and dropped as well. This is very confusing. Jay suspected the girls dropped their respective sororities because of issues with other girls in the house. Jay specifically cited girls on the executive board who tell other members what to do. Jay suspected this was what they did not like. Jay confirmed she, L, B, and D were still active members in whatever. Jay said the girls who still active members of the sorority who chose not to live in the house did so because money issues. Jay said Maddie was B's big sister in the sorority house. So anyways, there's a lot of stuff about the frats, stuff like that. It's getting very, very confusing, and I feel like I'm not doing it justice and clearing anything up for you, but there's some important things here. Jay said she knew Kaylee saw a dark figure staring at her from the tree line when she took her dog out Murphy to pee, and said it occurred about a month ago at the 1122 King Road residence. Jay said there had been a light-hearted talk and jokes about a stalker in the past. Jay said all the girls were slightly nervous about it being a fact, though. Jay did not indicate any social media issues or issues between the girls who lived there. Jay said there was no issues with the girls from the blank sorority and the residents at 1122 King. Jay said the front door had issues with locking and sometimes it would be opened without a code. Jay said she did not know the code to the front door. Jay said she was unsure if the residents kept the back sliding door unlocked regularly. So Hunter opened the door supposedly with a code, but the door was also seen wide open. More questions. L said he did not go to the blank party. L said he went to sleep at 10 o'clock, or no, 8 o'clock at Jay's apartment at Taylor Avenue. And is that Jay? No, that's L. Anyways, I know this is super confusing. Let me see if I can edit some of this shit out. L said he woke up around 2 or 3 in the morning, said that he, Jay, and E were up talking in the living room of the apartment until about 5 o'clock in the morning. L indicated H was present but not awake during this time. L said they all went to bed at this time and woke up again around what he thought was 9 o'clock in the morning. L said so Hunter and Emily, I believe, came into the living room where he and Jay were. L said Dylan had called Emily around 10 o'clock and sounded scared. L said that Bethany ran downstairs and locked themselves in a room. L said Dylan informed them that she did so because she saw someone in the house and L could only see his nose and his chin. L said Dylan was freaking out and wanted them to come over to the house. L said he walked with Emily, Jay, and Jay to the King Road residence, Jay apartment on Taylor Avenue. L said Dylan and Bethany walked out of the house crying. It's interesting that they walked out of the house. According to what documentary I think I saw, they were already standing outside the house. All the details are slightly different. Every time we hear the story, it feels like it's slightly different. L said Hunter arrived to the resident first because he left before them. L said he went up to the downstairs door and told them not to come up the stairs. L said he did not know Ethan very well. L said he did not recall any talk between Xana and Jay about boy issues. L said he did not see anything on social media. L recalled an incident from about a month prior where Dylan said there was a guy stalking her. L said he did not hear anything from the night prior. All right, only 2 more documents, and I don't think there's much in them. So we'll just get through these and pound this out, and then we'll be done. Lawrence Mowry, November 29th. Well, after the murders, I found I had received 2 emails from Snapchat dated November 28th at approximately 1700 hours. These emails provide links to download the data requested pursuant to 2 warrants served on Snap on November 21st. The files were downloaded and saved onto a computer located at the secure computer forensic located at Moscow Police Department. In examining the files, I located the user ID who showed subscriber information of RP, somebody named RP, who's like 50-something years old. The data showed R purchased a K-Bar brown leather knife sheath for 7-inch blade marine on August 14th, 2022 at 3:30 in the morning. Somebody bought a K-Bar knife, and it's related to some kind of person with the Snapchat stuff. This is fucking super interesting. I located the 2 younger males associated with R. So R is an older gentleman, and the father perhaps of 2 younger sons, T and K, born in 1996 and 94, respectively, from someplace in Idaho. In reviewing R's eBay account, that appears that he purchases and sells military memorabilia and equipment. I informed Sergeant Dustin Blaker of this information for follow-up. So, who are those individuals that purchased a K-Bar knife in relation to the house and Snapchat records? Will we know? Do you know? I feel like somebody out there already knows. I can't wait to hear what the answer is so I can get that clear and I don't have to stumble all over it. Last document, and then we're out for documents 1 through 50. November 21, 2022, I requested and granted a warrant for Snap Inc. from the accounts associated with the following identifiers: Kaylee Gonzalez, Jack DeCour, Dylan Mortonson, Bethany Funk. Those are the names redacted in there. On November 21st at approximately 1827, I logged into Snap Inc.'s law enforcement portal located at les.snapchat.com and served the warrants. On November 28th, 2022, Snap Inc. sent 2 emails stating the files were ready to be downloaded. On November 29th, they logged into the portal and downloaded the files provided pursuant to the warrant. These files were downloaded to a computer in a secured computer forensic lab at Moscow Police Department. An examination of the data will be conducted at my earliest convenience. I completed the warrant return. These documents were sent to the Latah prosecutor's office and returned to the court. I also emailed a copy to Snap, blah, 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 and we're out. Woo! What can we say so far? The documents show, in my opinion, lots and lots and lots of the alternate suspects that we talked about. Alternate suspects that Hitler said it's conspiracy theory and you will not be allowed to present alternate suspects. So you've got a jealous ex-boyfriend who may have declining mental health issues leading up to the event. You have a stalker who's been stalking the girls. You have some creepy individual, not Brian Koberger, who's grabbing ass at the corner club and is hitting on Maddie and getting kicked out of the club because he's so fucking creepy. That guy's not going to be looked into. We have Showalter following the girls and Jack DeCour following the girls. We've got all this stuff happening. We got somebody giving them rides and dropping them off right before the girls are murdered. We got Jack DeCour saying the girls are calling him and he's just ignoring it because they want a piece of ass, which doesn't make sense. We got Bethany, we got Dylan lying their ass off about going to sleep when we know fucking damn well those girls didn't go to sleep. What the hell happened? Is it the incel from Pullman, Washington, or is it half a dozen alternative suspects? And as Bill Thompson said, when it became clear to the defense that they were not going to be allowed to present alternative suspects, they took a fucking plea deal. No shit.